start with the second lesson from your chemistry, that is acid, bases and salts. The first lesson you don't have to learn, the entire lesson has been skipped. So let us start with acid, bases and salt. So we know very well, we have learnt about acid, bases and salts in 7th standard, and every day in our life we are using acid, bases as well as salt. So salt, we know very well, we use common salt, which is nothing but sodium chloride. So like that we also use acid. So what is acid? So you all know what is an acid. An acid is a substance which is sour to taste. Which is sour to taste. So any substance which are sour to taste, it is acid. It will contain acid. So we do take citrus fruits, which is sour, right? And we also use tomato. We use curd. We use tamarind. So all these are sour to taste, so which indicates it has acid in it. So can you tell me what is the citrus fruit contain? Which acid is present in citrus fruit? Yes, it has citric acid. It has citric acid. Tomato contains oxalic acid, and curd contains lactic acid. Tamarind contains tartaric acid. And we also use vinegar. So vinegar contains acetic acid. See, every day we are coming across with acid, okay? And in our own body we have acid, right? In our stomach we have acid, a powerful, that is concentrated acid. Hydrochloric acid is present in our stomach. So these are the acid which we are using in our daily life, okay? Other than that, when an insect will sting, an ant's bite, or the honeybee, right? It has formic acid. Formic acid. So what is an acid basically made up of? Right? So let us learn what is an acid. What kind of acid is this? This acid, as it is present in the living organism, whether the plants or the animal, these acids are called organic acid. These are called organic acid. Okay? And we also know there are some acids which are very strong. These are weak acids. These are weak acids. Okay? There are acids which are very strong in the sense they are very highly corrosive in nature. They are dangerous to touch. Okay? So which are those acids? They are obtained from certain minerals, from the rock, certain minerals. From there they make it or manufacture the acid. Those acids are called inorganic acid. They are called inorganic acid. Or it is also called mineral acids. Okay, they are also referred as mineral acid. Which are those acids? Okay, we know, we are very much familiar with these three acids. One famous one which we always come across is hydrochloric acid. Then we know about nitric acid. We also have learnt about sulfuric acid, and we know sulfuric acid is called the king of chemical as it finds wide application, various uses, right? So these are the inorganic acid, or it is also referred as mineral acid. Can you give me the formula for this acid? Yes, hydrochloric acid, HCl. What is the formula for nitric acid? HNO3. And sulfuric acid is H2SO4. So don't forget the name of the acid as well as the formula. So now let us see what is an acid. Can anyone tell me what is an acid? An acid is a compound, a chemical compound is a chemical compound which has one or more replaceable hydrogen ion. Okay, so what is an acid? An acid is a chemical compound. These are all chemical compound, right? Which has one or more replaceable hydrogen ions, right? When you just check yourself the formula, when we talk about hydrochloric acid, it has one hydrogen ion, right? Here nitric acid also has one hydrogen ion here. And coming to sulfuric acid, it has two hydrogen ion. When an acid is dissolved in water in aqueous solution, when it is dissolved in water or in aqueous solution, if it can replace or if it can give off one or more than one of hydrogen ion, such compound is called an acid. Clear? Okay, so let us talk about bases. So what is a base? So we know base, we use bases also in our daily life. So bases are bitter to taste. Bases are bitter to taste. Okay, neem leaf. So we know, we can think neem is bitter to taste, right? And you know when we take the cucumber, right? When you cut both the ends and you can see it is soapy to touch. Bases are soapy to touch, right? Bases are soapy to touch. The soap what we use, the soaps what we use contain base in it, okay? They are soapy to touch. Okay? So bases are bitter to taste. So let us learn few bases. Example of few bases. Okay? So one fine example which you can remember is sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide. Aluminium hydroxide. Magnesium hydroxide. Next is ammonium hydroxide. So let us learn the formula of all these bases. You should learn the formula of all these bases. So sodium hydroxide, NaOH. Okay, potassium hydroxide, KOH. Calcium hydroxide, CaOH whole twice. Aluminium hydroxide, AlOH whole thrice. Magnesium hydroxide, MgOH whole twice, right? Ammonium hydroxide, NH4OH. So these are the formula for these bases. You must practice the formula formulae. Sodium hydroxide is NaOH, potassium hydroxide KOH, calcium hydroxide CaOH whole twice, aluminium hydroxide AlOH3 whole twice, magnesium hydroxide MgOH whole twice, ammonium hydroxide NH4OH OH. That's all is the formula for ammonium hydroxide. So these are the bases, few examples of bases and their formulae you have to learn. Okay. Now, what is base? Now we learn what is an acid. Acid is a compound, a chemical compound which can give one or more hydrogen ion in the aqueous solution. So coming to here, what we see here in common in case of base, we see OH, hydroxide ion. So what is base? Can you define what is base? A base is a chemical compound which has one or more replaceable hydroxide ion in aqueous solution. So that is base. Okay, understood? So base is a chemical compound which has one or more replaceable hydroxide ion. Hydroxide ion is OH minus. See, we see here OH minus in all the bases. So wherever we find hydroxide, you should know it contains base. It is nothing but base. I hope the basic differences between acid and bases you have learned. Acids are sour to taste and bases are bitter to taste. They are soapy to touch. Some bases are highly dangerous. They are also corrosive, such as sodium hydroxide. It is highly corrosive. It is a strong acid base. Okay. So base, acid, all the bases, all the acids, that is whether it is hydrochloric acid, nitric acid or sulfuric acid, they are all dangerous. They are highly corrosive. Leaving the weak acid, the other acids are all highly corrosive. So we cannot taste or we cannot touch. Like I said, bases are they are soapy to touch, right? And acid, I told you, they are sour to taste and bases are bitter to taste. Can we go on taste all the acids or all the bases? We cannot, because it will be highly dangerous. So how to identify? If I give you acid in a beaker and water in another beaker, how can we identify? Because both look colorless, right? When I give you acid, when I give you hydrochloric acid in a beaker, it is colorless. It will look like water. So how to identify? Can I taste this? No, because it is dangerous. I may burn my tongue. So how to identify an acid from a base? For that, we have something called indicators. We have indicators. Indicators are the substances which will help us to identify an acid from a base, because the color, they change the color in the presence of acid, in the presence of base. There is change in color which will help us to identify an acid from a base. So what are indicators? Indicators are the substances So what are indicators? Indicators are substances which will help us find out or differentiate an acid from a base. Or you can just say we can identify by using indicator. By using indicator, we can say this is acid, this is base. So indicators, there are two types. Indicators. There are two types of indicators are there. One is natural, other one is man-made, that is artificial. So what are this natural indicator? Under natural indicator we have litmus. The litmus solution or the litmus paper and turmeric, our sweet old turmeric which is there in our kitchen. It will also help us to identify an acid from the bases. So the litmus solution, the litmus and the turmeric. Litmus is obtained from a plant called lichens. It is obtained by a plant called lichen which belongs to algae. Lichen is a plant which belongs to algae. From that from that plant they extract a purple color dye. A purple color dye is obtained from lichens, that is either used on a paper or as a solution. So that will help us to identify an acid from a base, and turmeric will also help us to identify an acid from a base. So coming to artificial indicator, we have something called methyl orange, and phenolphthalein. Okay, these are the artificial indicator. Methyl orange and phenolphthalein are the artificial indicator. Now let us learn how there is change in color when you put acid and you test it with the litmus or the turmeric or methyl orange or phenolphthalein. What are the color changes we see? That let us learn.